Am I reasoning or am I running? And the next time you're going to be dealing with any type of these situations where it's causing you to feel pain and you want to run, and sometimes we run towards depression, sometimes we run towards bitterness, sometimes we run towards anger, sometimes we run towards resentment, sometimes we run towards isolation. But I want you to use that. Remember, we're talking about having a tool about, am I using the right tool? Am I reasoning? And running is not a tool. Some people use it as a tool to get away, or sometimes they use the reason to build up a wall. Am I speaking to somebody? I'm a wall builder, y'all. I don't specifically, well, I have to be honest with myself. I don't run towards those things I just said. My run is more, my action is really more like building. Okay. So I start building walls. So it's great for each one of us who deal with at any point in life, every one of us. I'm talking about, there's nobody who has ascended so high that they're not capable of experiencing some kind of emotional rejection or dealing. People are mean. Okay. Like Satan lives, he's alive and well, like he's comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He is the great oppressor. And as long as the great oppressor is living and hasn't gone to his eternal spot yet, there will be people who will come to oppress you. There will be people on assignment. Remember this, y'all. There will be people on assignment to reject you. So every one of us, I don't care who you are, will have to deal with rejection, because the devil is a liar and he wants us to be oppressed. So remember that. Remember who your enemy is. Remember that your enemy is not the people who are sent on the assignment. True, sometimes they feel like the enemy with what they're saying or how they're treating us, but I want you to remember to respond to the Spirit, okay? Because we have to reason, not run. And how we reason is step back and saying, you know what? This is reasoning right now. I'm not going to be angry at this person. I'm going to identify that they were sent on assignment today to put me into a trigger, to put me into a place and a space of fight or flight, to actually put me in a place where I'm going to start running into a direction that is dangerous to me. Okay. Thank you for putting that down. So right now I'm just going to go over them really quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and then go and break it down each area for you. But there are 10 root causes, like I said, of rejection. And so the first one is the manner or timing of your conception. Thank you, love. You brought this on time. I've been doing a lot of talking and coaching, you guys. Excuse me. So the manner and timing of your conception. Like I said, I'm going to run them down. Number 2 is in a mother's womb, how you were born. So the manner of timing, mother's womb 2. Number 3 is the manner of birth, or how you were born, the manner of birth. Number 4 is baby not being bonded to a mother. Number 5 is being adopted. 6 is hereditary rejection. 7 is factors in the family home. Number 8 is problems caused by teachers or schoolmates. Number 9 is self-rejection caused by one's own attitude. And number 10 is multiple causes later in life. And as you can see, we have a whole, menu of ways to deal or to be handed the area of rejection in our life. There are so many different ways that each one of those places, and some of you guys might say, well, EmmaSara, I had multiple. Well, then there are multiple levels that we have to deal with when we're coming against the spirit of self-rejection. And also, I have to remind everybody, okay, because there is a camp out there who's like, oh, Christians can't be oppressed. Christians can't be, I agree that we can't be possessed. Once we have Christ in our life, we accepted him as Lord and Savior. I agree that we can't be demonically possessed, but we can give authority to the enemy. We can give access to the enemy. We can leave the door open for him to come in and gain territory and come in within our 4 walls, whether it's through what we're eating, thinking, sleeping, or not eating, thinking, or watching, right? Whatever it is, we can allow the enemy to come in. So the manner of conception, you might find that kind of strange, right? You might think like, what in the world does that mean? But Sometimes babies, when they're still in utero, this is so important when we talk about, you know, not trying to get my video flagged right now, but when we're talking about the annihilation of babies in the womb, right? There is a baby that's in there. And I know they want to say that it's just cells, it's just a blob, it's not a person, but the truth is that there's a little being in there, and every one of us has a spirit, and our spirit knows, our spirit sees, our spirit perceives. And so even if a baby is just being in that first, that first ability of being a creation, it's just been created, it still has a soul. Once a baby is no longer, no, I wouldn't say no longer, but for the people who are watching, okay, they say embryo, I'm going to call it embryo baby. Embryo is a baby, it has a soul. In the embryonic stage, a baby still, you guys have to understand this, a baby still can have to deal with rejection. Okay, so feelings of unwanted or unplanned pregnancies, that baby can have rejection before it was ever even born. What did I say? A baby can feel rejection before it's ever born. You have to understand that. So that happens the time of conception. So maybe there's people messing around and they don't want to get pregnant. And then they find out, oh, snap, I'm pregnant. I don't want to be pregnant. What am I going to do? My mom's going to kill me. Whatever it is, I was just a one-night stand. I'm not ready for a fourth baby. Whatever it is, that is the time of conception. That's what I'm saying, okay? So the narrow insight for that is a baby in the womb is responding to my, because people might say, I don't know, EmmaSara, I don't know if I believe in that. That's too way out there. But we'll look at the physiological form of this. Okay, so a baby in the womb does respond to maternal stress, and that maternal stress comes with hormones, right? And we know that a mom's hormones are going to impact that baby. So high cortisol exposure early can wire a brain towards rejection sensitivity. Did any of you guys know that already? Some of you guys may have known that, but mother's maternal stress can cause a baby's brain to already start to be wired, in a, it just, when I think about the people who belittle what goes on in a mother's womb, and I, know that there are studies that will show that babies do have impact from a mom. It's ridiculous to me, to be honest with you. It doesn't even make sense to me. But in a mother's womb, spiritual rejection. So, and if you guys have any questions for me, you guys can ask in the chat. So spiritual rejection can be absorbed through fear, stress, or resentment, and it's carried during pregnancy. How many moms do you know are actually fearful the entire time they're born? Maybe they're fearful for the pain that they're going to have when they are having the baby. Maybe they're afraid of not being able to financially support that baby. Maybe they have the fear of, I don't even know if baby daddy going to be with me this entire pregnancy or after. And so the whole time they're carrying fear, stress, and possibly resentment towards carrying that baby. And so the prenatal environment programs a stress system, and that's called the HPA axis. And that leaves a child that is going to become prone to anxiety and rejection triggers. People are not even thinking about this. So you may not even have like really big recollections of things, but it doesn't matter because you're already getting it within your system. It's already happening within your neurotransmitters, okay? So the manner of birth. Trauma or complications at birth can fracture early security. That means if it's a difficult birth, neurologically, when we're thinking about that, that can impair bonding, and it also messes up the oxytocin regulation. So the oxytocin is, that euphoric type of hormone that goes out, but it can actually shift that, and that can affect how a baby trusts and also impact how a baby will attach later. And so, uh, you know, some people in Hollywood, they have scheduled C-sections, and it's so sad because moms do it out of convenience. They go and have C-sections because they're like, I don't want to have to deal with the pain. I don't want to have to. So they're just going to go get a C-section, and everything is very disconnected. It's a procedure. It's not looked at something as being, a natural process that a mom goes through that creates bonding with her child. And so I just want to throw that out there. So, the other one is the baby is not bonded to a mother. And unfortunately, that happens when a mom is not nurturing towards her newborn. And one of the stories, I don't know, I've shared with you guys before, but quite a while ago. But I remember when I was getting my hair done and I had a few kids with me, and my hairdresser saw a picture. I'm trying to think I had a new baby. Maybe I had the new baby with me. I think Bijou was with me. She had the new baby. And yep, it was Bijou. Bijou was with me. I had one of the new babies, and the woman seemed kind of annoyed. And I don't remember how I got to the conversation, but she just point blank asked me, she's like, what happens if you have the baby and you really don't want anything to do with the baby? And I was shocked because I was like, I just had a baby. And I was like, I was like, is she even serious? Like, why would she even ask somebody with a newborn if what happens? But there was a part of me that can sense that she was actually asking, like, she was asking because she was bothered. But I was like, well, maybe, I don't, I'm like trying to think of what I said at that time. So much time has elapsed, and it wasn't as important as what I said, because I gave her some counsel, and I was thinking she was just talking like, flippantly, like, what happens if a woman has a baby and I was like, oh no, when you have a baby there, because I was thinking it was like just an off question, when you have a baby, there's something that happens with your body, and you will naturally, I know it sounds foreign, but you'll naturally be connected to your baby. And she said, well, I had a baby and I had no feelings for that baby after I had it. And I was so sad. I couldn't even believe she was asking me that. And I said, so what happened? And she said, I just never attached to that baby, and my husband, or whatever, the ex-husband, it was ex-husband. And then she's like, well, actually, that's his picture. She did have a picture of him, but she said, she loves him, she said, but she just never found an attachment to him. And that's spiritual. It's a whole bunch of different things. But I can tell you right now that that child will be forever impacted by the fact that his mom, even though she wants the best for him, she told me, and that she's happy that he has a good relationship with his father, she was very clear with me that she just had zero connection with that baby. So that can cause neuro impact as well with the limbic system. Without it, emotions are harder to regulate, and correction feels like abandonment. So when people are dealing with the abandonment of a mother, correction will always feel like abandonment. And then, of course, being adopted, and that's kind of a no-brainer, I understand, but we'll cover it anyway. So even with loving parents, adoption can still, I would say this, I've dealt with kids who were adopted before, and there was a book that I read, and one of the things that it was saying is that you can't love a child enough to overcome. I think that the book was called When Love Is Not Enough. But with all your best efforts, love is not enough to hurt the hurt child. You need so much more. I mean, yes, can they be recovered? Can they be made whole? They can, but that is definitely through the blood of Jesus Christ. It's through them. There's so many different facets. This is when we get into complex trauma, and we do touch on some of that here. But I will tell you this is that even for the parent who is out there, and I know people who really want to adopt kids, they really want to go help kids. I do want to tell you that, I don't want to burst your bubble, but it's really important to understand that just because you think you have enough love to give doesn't mean that you're going to have enough love to make things better with the child that you're adopting, especially if you have other kids in your house that can, hurt kids. And It's not 100% of the time, but it's often. So I just would say to think about that, okay? And then we're on the hereditary rejection. So we're on number 6 right now. Hereditary rejection is rejection can pass through family lines. Did you guys know that? That rejection can pass through family lines. So it could be generation to generation that your family deals with self-rejection. And I've seen this a lot in my husband's family. And there's certain personality types that it can be greater with. But when I say the rejection, it's like they just don't like I was raised, and it's not that my family, they're young. My mom was only 14 when she had me. So it's not like they don't have their set of issues, but it's dealt with differently. So in our household, being raised, my brother and I, my dad was constantly correcting us, and we had to learn to love correction. Okay, we had to learn correction, otherwise it'd been difficult. And whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And I laugh about it because I actually appreciate the strength that I received from my parents, which was not to ever make it like we were not. This is the difference. Okay, so if I line it up for you guys right now, the difference between um like how my husband was raised and how I was raised that you don't make excuses. You don't make excuses. Where there's a will, there's a way. My parents brought us out from the ghetto, and they were people who wanted the best for their children. And so they provided a template for us that where there's a will, there's a way, and there's never an excuse that is allowed. And so you don't complain more, you just do more, you work harder. In my family, my husband's family, it's everything is, they feel everything. Like you can tell, like I can sense my husband actually has like his whole person will look like somebody just hit him. Like if the spirit rejection like gets triggered, you immediately see I can see him physically looking like he just got hurt, like somebody just backcounted him. It looks like somebody just, I can just, it's like it's something that comes over his whole person. And it's because there are certain people who are raised to be victims. And when I say that, I don't say it lightly. There are people who are raised with the victim mindset, and it's going on a lot today in society. We see it with what is being taught in public schools, in social media, TikTok generation. They're being taught to be victims and not victors. They're being taught to look for somebody to blame. They're being taught to not take personal accountability. And so these are all things that they're dealing with right now. And so it is one of those things where we have to make a decision. So I'm sharing this with you because not only do I want you to be free, but I want you to also be thinking about how you're raising your kids and breaking and severing that line of rejection within your household. When I met my husband, if he would have married a woman who licked his wounds, he would have been a totally different man. When he married me, I was like, whenever he would complain about somebody or try to come to me like somebody hurt him or whatever, I would always just say, what could you have done differently, or what part of what they said was true? And if it was about his family, because he was really upset with his family, I would remind him that his parents did something, even if he was mad or whatever, they did something right because I married him. And so there was something that they poured into him that was good enough, whether it was him learning from their mistakes or them actually teaching him some skills that made him he's a skillful man now. My point is that we have to overcome rejection and that overwhelming sense of pain. By what? Are we going to reason or are we going to run? And the fact is that, my husband, watching him, nobody's hurting him, nobody's hitting him, but it's like, it's painful. And I want you guys to be broken of that because I want you to make a decision to understand that, my brain is playing, listen, your brain is playing tricks on you. It is telling you you're hurt because it doesn't know the difference, but your logic area of your brain, your reasoning part of your brain does know that you just didn't get punched, even though you felt like it. Does that make sense, everybody? Raise 5 fingers up if y'all are still with me. This is going deep today, okay? We're dealing with some areas that people really struggle with, and I really am so proud of you guys for staying here, sticking on with me, because this is This is going to be groundbreaking for many of you. This is going to be life-changing when we're done with this series. And if you're open to the change, and I pray that you are, then you are going to be getting, so many things are going to get broken off. And to be honest with you, if this is something that you struggle with and you can defeat this in your life, you will go and soar to new places you never thought possible. And back to my husband again, uh, his dad, his dad has never met almost all of his grandchildren. He met two of them when they were small and babies. I have 8 kids. My oldest is 26. Uh, they're great kids. And my father-in-law is, from what I understand, he's not a bad man. He just is chilling in Puerto Rico, Puerto Vallarta. He is from Arkansas. He worked his time. He got a good retirement and wanted to go chill in Puerto Vallarta with his wife. And it's my husband, my husband's stepmom. He just wanted to go chill and live his best life over there. And so that's what he did. And he just doesn't call. He shows no interest. And I'm sure he's dealing with his own stuff over there, but I'm just telling you, my husband, because he is a filler, because he does have wear his emotions on his sleeve, it has impacted my husband. So I'm just telling you this. So if I'm talking to you about a spirit of rejection, it's because he felt rejected. And it's so hard when a son feels rejected by his father. It's hard when a daughter feels rejected by either. Okay, it's hard when kids are rejected by the parents, period. But we know that a young boy growing up really needs a father in his life, right? So I wanted to share that with you because why? Because my husband actually, if I'm going to say those things, I want to also be on the positive side for him. Is if my husband can have experienced true rejection. His mom was married back and forth like 5 different times. Some of those people were terrible from what I understand. And so my husband had an extremely traumatic childhood, and it's part of his testimony. But I will tell you this is that who he's become is not who I married. Praise God. He is a different man. And it was not easy. Okay. It wasn't easy and it took time, but my husband like just had to make the decision. He used to struggle with depression and really a big attacks on the mind, but it was really the victim spirit. And when he started to break free from the victim spirit, then I started to see him become more confident. He started to walk taller. He started to stop living so small. And he had a dual life going on. Don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen here, because he is a commando kind of guy, SWAT team leader, sharpshooter. So he had a mask that he would put on, but I was his wife, so I knew what was really going on. But I'll say this is that he's more consistent now. He used to always get sick. He hardly ever gets sick now. He has learned to command his mind. He has learned to, yes, I still see him, feel that physical pain, but I also see him make a decision to reason and not run. So if my husband can get out of a family who has been generations of victimhood, even the S word, unaliving themselves, that's also in his bloodline, like so severe depression on his side of the family. If my husband can break free from that and being raised to be the kind of person that everybody's always blaming everybody, accountability is not a good word in their family, okay? I want to tell you that anybody's capable in this case. So we're going to go down to number 8. So that was hereditary rejection. I will go to the neuro rejection really quick. The neuro look on that is that epigenetics show trauma alters gene expression. Okay, epigenetics. You hear the gene in there, genetics, alters gene expressions, and parents' unresolved rejection primes children to carry the same wounds. How many of you guys have ever heard stories about somebody who was adopted, never met their birth mom or birth father, and then they meet them and they walk the same, they talk the same, they have the same mannerisms, and this is the crazy thing is that Dav, okay, my youngest daughter, she's 22 now. Dave, she literally has some of the same exact outfits that I wore when I was in high school. And I kid you not, like age 14, age 15, I'm like, how is this even possible? Like it's that we would have such the same style. Like I'm talking specific outfits she would pick out. And I'm like, I had that literal same outfit. Like I could go and find a picture and I had the same, like, how could she like the same color combination and the same, put things together, or just, mannerisms. And of course she's been raised with me, but she had no idea what I was like when I was in high school. And that's because there are things that are so deep that we can't even understand, that when an adopted kid who has never been around his birth family at all, not a single one of them, all of a sudden, 50 years later runs and meets, family members, he finds out, or she finds out, that they are so similar. It's because that is epigenetics in working order. And that is them having an imprint of what was left on them. Okay. And then we have the last one. Let me see, what number are we on? We will go to number, so factors in family home, problems caused. Okay, no, where that was number 7, factors in family home. Oh no, so we'll go to factors. So sorry. So last was hereditary rejection. That was epigenetics. And now we're going to go to the next one, which is factors of the family home. That's number 7. So, and I'll have to start rolling through this quickly because I have an appointment after this, but spiritual is dysfunction, favoritism, or neglect reinforce rejection wounds. So if anybody has ever been in a family where somebody was a favorite, and I have to tell you this though, because I am somebody who understands it, that lying spirit can lie to you. Maybe there was not a favorite and maybe that was all in your head too. So I need you to ask God about that. Some people who deal with the wounded spirit and who deal with the spirit of rejection will think that everybody's, so I'm just being honest with you guys, okay? They will always think that somebody else is being favorited. So I wanted to make sure that I tell you that you have to understand there is a difference. Not every time you feel that somebody is favorited is actually happening. It could be just happening in your mind. But if that is your dialogue, if that is what you are continually role playing and lying, that lie loop in your head, then it's still, even though it's a lie, it still is now like a resounding proof that you're providing for yourself. Like you're making a false proof, false evidence appearing real. Okay. And sorry, ladies, with my speech today, I have been working around the clock. So I've been doing so many studies. So my brain is like, I'm trying to get it all out here, but I do apologize. It's just sleep deprivation working right now. But with the factors of the home there, the neurological insight on that is stress disrupts the prefrontal cortex, lowering impulse control and increasing emotional reactivity. Okay. Chronic stress. So factors in the home. Can't say that I don't deal with a lot of stress in my life or my entire life. Okay, so that is definitely something that I have been more purposeful to be working on this last maybe 2 months myself. Okay, and I will share in our group, the collective, a little bit later in the challenge. We're dealing with one thing at a time right now, but I'm going to be talking to you guys. We'll do a series on stress management, and I have definitely been doing some things that are really, really helping our whole entire family. That's for later. Okay, and then we have here self-rejection. Yes, self-rejection caused by one owns attitude. Well, I guess I was skipping ahead over there when I was saying about, do you think everybody's a favorite and you're not the favorite and you're the least of everybody? That could also be because you are having a lie loop, okay? Caused by one own attitude, believing lies about worth fuels rejection cycles. So neuro insight is negative self-talk strengthens the default mode network, which is your DMN, looping shame until replaced with the truth. Okay. This is a process of neuroplasticity. And you guys, when I'm talking to you about the lie loop, there is science that backs that right there. Okay. It is the default mode in the DM and looping shame until replaced with truth. But not only can you have a shame loop, you can have a lie loop of all kinds of other things that keeps you playing. Okay. And then multiple causes later in life. So this is the 10th one here. I missed one. I'm going to go back to number 8. So number 7 is factors in the home. Number 8 is problems caused by teachers or schoolmates. I don't want to miss that one. It's really important. Words and actions of formative years deeply make an imprint in a person's mind. I cannot tell you how much, okay? This really bothers me is when I see kids who have unalived themselves, and then I hear parents come on and they're like, oh, he was being so bullied. She was being so bullied. And every day her life was tormented and they just wouldn't leave her alone and the school wouldn't do anything. I just want to tell the parents who are out there, if your kid is being brutally bullied, get your kid out of that school. Like homeschool him. I would rather have my kid home alive and safe and just doing some things for free. My kids use Khan Academy. It's free. It doesn't cost us anything. And there's really not that much of an excuse because I can guarantee you every person who has lost a child through self-harm would have preferred to live home and on welfare than to live without a child alive. And so our kids' safety has to be premier, but that's just a little side note. Self-rejection, the root of rejection, can be caused by teachers and schoolmates. Okay, they go to school every day, they're just being fed. It could be a teacher who could care less about them, who doesn't believe in them. It could be stupid kids who are just telling children who are beautiful how ugly they are. And then now we'll go to 9, self-rejection caused by one's own attitude. So we'll skip over that because I just did it. And now the last one is multiple causes later in life. So this is where we have accumulated deepened wounds that happen over time. It's easy to do, okay? Let's just call this number 10 would be racking it up. You guys are taking notes. Can somebody put that down because I'll forget. I'm going to call number 10 so that you guys make it easy is racking it up. Sometimes it's not one thing. It's so many things. They're just getting racked up. Number 10, accumulated wounds deepen rejection if unhealed. That is the key though, you guys. I said, if it is unhealed, they will rack up. But guess what? That is okay, Maria. You're good. It's okay. It is okay that, it's okay that you've come and you're like, EmmaSara, I feel like a hot mess. I feel like I feel like I have racked it up. I feel like I am so full. There's so many different areas you just named. Is there even any hope for me? And I want to tell you, there is absolutely hope for you. Yes, you may have racked them up, but yes, God is able. God is able to restore. He is able to completely, you have to submit, okay? He is able to completely wipe out the lie loop. He's totally capable. And, sometimes we don't have to be 1,000% willing. It is helpful. And I'll just tell you this because who was believing a lie? Saul was believing a lie. He was believing that all Christians were bad. He was believing that all believers on the way in Christ Yeshua were bad. That was a lie. He met Christ on the, no, I think I'm going to retract. Okay, he met Christ on the road and that lie loop was broken. But I will say this, now that I'm thinking about that, no, he had to submit because he still had a choice on that Damascus road. He had a choice to say no. He had a choice to say, I don't even believe that you are God talking to me. He had a choice. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say yes. We all have a choice. So everybody, I want you to put that down in the chat. This is the bottom line, is that you have a choice. You have a choice. And I don't care if the devil lies to you and says you're going to be stuck forever. You're always going to deal with rejection. You're always going to be overcome with rejection. I want to make it straight. We're not going to run. We're going to reason. And this is the reasoning, okay? Is I wish I could tell you that nobody would ever reject you. I would be a liar, okay? I cannot tell you that. I cannot promise you that because Satan is working. He's a worker of iniquity. He's a worker of oppression. So I cannot tell you that you will never be rejected. But what I can tell you is that you can learn how to deal with rejection healthily and from a whole place and stand up and be strong and resilient. So you have a choice. I hope this encouraged you. I hope if this encouraged you, let me know in the chat. If this message, if there's anything you want to drop in the chat you want me to share, I can do that as well. But at the end of the day, ladies. I just want to thank everybody who is here today on the call. Thank you. Melanie said definitely encouraging, and you guys are all resounding that we have a choice, because we do. I want to invite you, our viewers who are watching from home. We have a group. It's called Elevate Collective. It is a place where women are coming together just like you, who want growth in their life, who want to go and elevate to the next level, who want to break free from traumatic responses, and who want to live powerfully and on purpose, with a purpose. And so I will drop the link here for you guys. You guys can check out the brochure to join us over there. It is a connection group. I think our world is full of busyness, but we fail to connect. You can be in a church with 2,000 people and connect with nobody, right? Unfortunately, that's the way it is, even in the religious places right now. So anyway, I want to encourage you to join us over. I made sure to make it cost effective, so that way you would not have a choice, or let me take that way, not have a choice. You will have a choice. You would have an excuse, okay? Rewrite that so that you wouldn't have an excuse, because really you're worth it. You're worth the small investment that it will take for you to make the connection of growth. I'm EmmaSara. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys later. And I'm going to say it every single time, but remember, y'all, go out and live the life that you want to be remembered for.